We have 4 mounting screws, through bolts, as they're called. We have one here, one over here, and one right here. These are 832 threads, and they are 8 5/8 inches long. The problem is that these screws now, they go all the way down, and they screw into this the drive in where the pump's at, into the threads down here. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you have a steel bolt screwed into aluminum? It's going to oxidize, and it is going to be seized. And that's exactly what all 4 of these bolts were. In other words, I could try to break them loose, and if I kept on, I knew I was going to snap them bolts. And I did not want to do that. The very first thing I did is I got a ball peen hammer, okay? I got a drift punch, and before I even tried to turn these bolts, which I knew they were going to be probably seized, I put it right on top of the head of the bolt. I got the biggest drift punch I had, and so it would fit just right inside there, just like that. And then I took and gave it several whacks, you know, pow, pow, pow. And I did that to each one of them. Then I came back with my 1/4 inch socket and a ratchet, and I tried to move it. And what would happen is you could turn it, and when you let go, it would just spring back. Right there, I knew this was going to be an ordeal. All right, so then I came back, and I got some Kroll, and I took and I sprayed. Now, if you look through in the ventilation holes right here, you can see this bolt probably right here, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is I sprayed the bolt, because you're not going to be able to get it from down here, because you have a fan that's down here, and then it's over the top of that you got it to where the bolts are screwed in. So no way you're going to get down to here where the thread's at. Okay, this is a good place where I need to interject, where I'm talking about putting Kroll or some kind of lubricant on these here through bolts so that we can get this here lubricant to go all the way down to get to these threads. Now, this is something I learned after I took the motor apart, which I know is going to be very, very helpful to you, and I have not seen anywhere on YouTube that it describes this. So let's take a look what I'm talking about. Okay, now this is the front bell end of the motor. This is on the impeller end. Once I took this thing apart, notice this. These are the holes where the through bolts are screwing in. Okay, so you remember they got 4 of them. Now here's what I didn't know. When you flip this thing over, here are those holes right here. You can see they're all the way through. But when I was looking at the motor before I turned it, you know, started turning the bolts, they were all, of course, sealed. And I did not know that these bolts were running down into these holes. So here's what you could do. Disregard what I said about putting the lubricant at the top of the bolt and then let it run all the way down to get to these. Just take the motor, flip it over so it's in this position. Then all you have to do is spray your penetrant right down in these holes. And you can see, there they are. So anyway, it just amazes how you can learn something new every day. And then you can let it sit for a few hours in this position so that the lubricant can run down, get to the threads, loosen it up, and then you'll have a better chance of getting these bolts loosened up. You don't have to take all this stuff loose, right? But I'm going to take all this stuff loose, and I won't be able to pull this here housing off. This end right here, I want to pull it off, and of course we're going to pull the other end off too. I want to pull this off, and then I want these wires just to pass through, and then I can have this in my hand separately. And then I'm going to be able to check these windings. We're going to check them with the ohm meter. We're going to meg them out. We're going to use a megger, and we're going to check everything on here. So we'll try to make this video as complete as we can. But as I mentioned, if you want to just take it apart, say, you know, for maybe a rusty rotor or bearings, you don't need to take all this stuff off, right? The only thing you need to take off take your capacitor off, take your centrifugal switch off, and take your centrifugal governor off. And then at that point, this stuff will come off, but your wires will still be attached, but you'll be able to lay it, your end cap, off to the side, and you can get your rotor out and do all the stuff that you need to do to it. Alright, so I'm going to be taking the wires loose, from these components. As I mentioned, I want these wires to just pass right on through when I take this here end cap off. Now, with this capacitor, you notice we have two wires on one side of the capacitor. And then we have a different wire, it's a white with a red tracer, on the other side. Now, it does not matter which side you put these wires on, but I like to put everything back to where it was in the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a Sharpie, and I'm just going to mark right down here to signify that these two yellow wires is going to go to these two terminals where I have it marked. So, and by the way, you always want to discharge your capacitor. Go ahead and take a screwdriver, bridge across the terminals, and now we know it's discharged. So, let's go ahead and we're going to pull these terminals off. So there's one, and there's a second one, and now let's remove this one. Yeah, let me get it over on this side, I guess. Okay, so there's our capacitor. We'll set him over there. Okay, now let's work on the other wire for the centrifugal switch. Okay, so there's that one. We'll set him over there. Okay, now let's go over here to our terminal block, and let's remove the purple wire that's connected to the A terminal.
He's in there good.
Yeah, he's on there pretty good. Okay, now let's remove the white wire that's on the L2 terminal. Yeah, he's on there pretty good too. Well, let's see if I can get a screwdriver in there. Nope. Let's see if I can get it using my fingers. Notice there's a little bit of oxidation right there, so we'll clean all that up. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll pull this one off, and now we have our terminal block. Okay, and we're going to lay him over to the side. Okay, now if we come over here, we're going to take a look at this here plug. Now we're looking at this here black wire, and let me see. If we look at the black wire, I'm going to flip it over so you can see the terminal here. Now we should be able to take this black wire and just slide it out, and let's see if we can do that. It might be in there pretty good, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so you see?
Oh yeah.
It just slides out. Slides in, push it in, and then you just pull it out. Okay, so now we have that. And now there's a thermal protector. You can see there's a disc, and if you look right down here, do you see those little coils right there?
Yeah.
Those are heaters, right? And we'll go into all that on the wiring diagram that I drew up, and we'll talk about all this stuff. So let's put that on over here to the side. Okay, so now you can see,
Should be able to lift it right off now.
yep, you can see that we can slide this whole end cap right off of here now. So let's go ahead and let's just take these things out.
Ooh, they are long jokers.
And that's what they are. Okay. Now they're supposed to be 8 5/8 inches long. Well, I'm going to verify it, just for you guys so you can see how long these bolts are. Now, of course, when we put all this back together, we're definitely going to be putting anti-seize on these threads, and hopefully the next time these things won't gall up and you know, trying to get these things out again, you know, if we ever want to take it apart again. All right. So there's our 4 bolts, and let me get a tape measure. Let me go ahead and measure it right now. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to come up underneath the head of the bolt. That's where it should be measured. And if you look right down here, it's 8. Yep, looks like 8 5/8 to me. All right, now before we start trying to tap this end caps off, if you notice right here, I took and put a center punch mark right here. I got one here, and I just lined it up with this here screw to where the bonding ground wire will go right there. And then if you look down here on this end, I put 2 of them. So I got 2 center punch marks here, and I lined it up and put 2 more center punch marks here. Okay, this way it'll make it easy when we put it back together, that we'll get these here bolts to be able to line up to where they need to go to get screwed in. Now let's take the motor, we're going to rotate it, and we want the ventilation holes to be right up here on the top. And if you notice, you see it, there's a little tiny notch right here, right in there. So I'm just going to put the drift punch right in there. Going to do a little tap. You can see that it moved. And let's see, this is where electrical comes in. Maybe a little tap there. Oh, okay.
It's moving. Oh yeah.
So, kind of move it around a little bit. Let's tap it over here a little bit. Okay. Alright, so we can see that we got it popped off. Now let's turn it around. Okay. Now, there should be some washers, and here they are right here. So we have a wave washer, and there might be some more shim washers here in the back. Okay, don't see any. So let's go ahead and we'll pull the wires out. Okay. And so you can see there's a little bit of grease in there. You can see it's pretty oxidized. Now, let's take this here and let's see what we got. So we got 1 shim washer. Now that's how it was. So I'm going to put it back in. It was in just like so. So we can put a little grease when we put it back just to kind of hold it in place, make sure it's not going to move. Okay, so we'll lay him over there. Now, so we can see that the bearings, are okay, at least this one on this end.
Good.
And that's what I suspected. I suspected the bearings would be okay, and the problem is going to be up here where I believe that the rotor on the outside is just rusted to the stator core. That's what we're going to find out. Okay. Now, so now let me get like a little rubber mallet. We're going to tap it from this end, and we're going to knock this whole assembly out from the front. I don't know how tough this is going to be. There's my rubber mallet. It's actually moving.
Oh, good.
But you notice right here, look. You notice how it's a little snug? See? Now let's see what we got here. Okay. So you can see right there that we have got rust built up on there. Okay. Alright, and we can see that our front bearing, see, is working okay. Alright. And of course you saw the rear is okay. Do you see all that rust that's on those lugs on the stator core? You notice it does not take very much rust. Alright, and that rust seized to that rotor, and that kept this thing from, you know, turning. Unbelievable. So we're going to sand all this up, you know, get all this rust out, make sure it's going to run free. Now we have one more thing to do to disassemble this here motor. Then we need to remove this front end cap. Now there's one screw right here, and as you can see, it is rusty also. So what we're going to do, the first thing I did is I took this again. This is a 1/4 inch socket I'm putting there. So I put it right on there like that, and then I took the hammer, pounded it, give it a good few whacks, took my crowel, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you down inside here. So if we can look, let me see if we can find it. And if you look right in there, you can see the screw. And I'm gonna get this right here so you can see. So there's a screw right there.
Yeah.
And this screw has a little clasp behind it. All right, so here's how this thing looks. Here's a bearing. So we have a bearing, and that screw is going into a metal tab, right? So what it is that when it's tightened, the screw is tightening, it'll swing this over here, over the back of the bearing, and it keeps the bearing from moving out of its bearing housing. So when we loosen the screw, it's going to swing over, and then the bearing will be able to push it out. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's go over here. Now I've already got the screw loose. And if you look down in there, can you see it?
See something moving.
Yep, so there's that little metal tang, that little piece. So when you tighten it up, you can see that the tang part is bent down, 90 degrees down. It swings over to the housing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to loosen it up. So we don't need to take the screw fully out. All we have to do is make sure that this metal tab is just pretty much just going to be slid over to the left. So let's just see now if we can just pop this here, get this here end cap off of this thing. So let's get a little tap here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take this on off. We know the tab is going to be down. This way we don't have to worry about it trying to swing back in place and maybe swing back and holding the bearing in place. Okay, so now we can just take the screw, get it on out of there. Okay, so there's a screw. So let me go ahead. Alright, so it's coming along. So I think it's about ready to come off of here. So I find that what the best thing to do is, there you go. Hit it on one side, go to the other side, you know, spin it around, hit just back and forth, back and forth. Now that looks, I mean the bearing still feels good, but I don't know. We may just go ahead and replace, we just might go ahead and replace these bearings. Both of them.
How much are they?
We can get both of them for about $10.
That's not bad.
Yep. And memory serves me correct, these are 6203 bearings, front and back. And they are RS, meaning RS is rubber shield, 2RS. That means it's a rubber shield on each side.
Do they come as a set?
No, you get them individually.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the corrosion in there. So we're going to clean all that stuff up too. Here's that little tang that I was talking to you about. So basically, it's sitting in here like that. Actually, like, let me see. Let me put this back together so I can see how it works. So you can see when I tighten it up, you know, this here little tang, see, goes up against this here housing, and then that locks the bearing in so it can't come back out. See, the bearing sits down in here, and this little part right there is holding the bearing in place. So when I turn it to the left, see now you can see that
yeah.
now the bearing can come out.
Yep.
But when you're pounding it might do this, you know, bouncing around. So that's why we just went ahead and just took the whole thing right back out. That way we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let me put that together. And now you know everything I know about this motor as far as taking it apart.